Okay, this is going to be a review for the Empire Ears Odin. It is 11 driver, I believe. Why don't I just take a look? 11 proprietary drivers. It's got a sub bass dynamic driver, just taking care of the sub bass, and it's got a regular bass, which is taking care of the mid bass and all the way up to the mids. 2 low mid, 2 mids, mid high, 2 high, 2 ultra high, and like a EST driver, EVEC, and a SynX, which is like a crossover network for all of these drivers, I believe. It's proprietary technology. Disclosure, I got 20% discount on this, so with shipping I ended up paying about $2,600, so not quite a bought man or a water boy. I did pay. They're absolutely gorgeous. The packaging is fantastic. The communication with them was excellent. I didn't get a founder's edition, but I just said, hey, as a founder's edition company, he's like, no, sorry. And then he said, don't worry, I'll take care of it. And then I got Jack Vang's signature, and also, more importantly, no offense, Jack, the guy that designed this, I think, Dean, that's his signature right there on the car, which is fucking dope to have. So absolutely epic. This is, you pay the big money for the whole experience. Part of it is you're dealing with a smaller company. Everything is handmade. All of this is mostly proprietary stuff that they made and have come up with, and they've spent time and money to be different from other companies, and they are in fact different. The Legend X was an epic. It was a Legend that was on my left side of my monitor for a long time. I only took it down because on closer examination it seemed like the mids were a little bit gone for me. This set is a polished Empire Ears Legend X, so if you ever thought that the Legend X had a little bit too much bass, but otherwise you were down with it, and also the mids would be hand in hand with that, then this would actually be your set. So let me go ahead and get into that. I'll start with the bass first. Okay, let's start with the bass. Literally, like the bass. The foundation, the backbone of most of the music that I listen to. Even hip-hop has a lot of bass samples, like 4-string bass samples. Drums, they sample that too, and I'm a big rock and roll fan. Marvin Gaye, Sexual Healing. Violent Femmes, Please Do Not Go, 4-string bass. Sexual Healing is the Roland 808. Tupac, Ambitions as a Writer, that's another deck mix. When the Levee Breaks is a kick drum. Eurythmics is keyboard synthesizer. Led Zeppelin, Dazed Confused is a 4-string bass guitar. So these are the instruments that I'm listening for and listening to when I do my reviews. You guys know that, but just to remind everybody. There's 2 events that are happening right here in the low frequency. One is Fool in the Rain, where John Bonham is doing kind of a shuffle, and it's famous. And then on this, When the Levee Breaks, it's the kick drum, and it was done at Hadley Grange or something like that, and they hung the mics from a stairwell, and they did some compressing and some filtering and did a lot of production on this that you really can't. It's got an echo to it. You can't do this just with a drum kit. You can kind of half-ass do it, but you won't sound like John Bonham. This set plays that When the Levee Breaks like an audiophile set should, and that is with authority. The kick drum is front and center on this track, and some sets don't do that, and I've noted that in previous reviews. This set does that. It's supposed to. It's supposed to be a faithful reproduction, which is part of what high fidelity is, which is part of the definition of an audiophile. I am a bass lover. I am also an audiophile, and this does quite well. On Fool in the Rain, John Bonham, another famous moment, he's doing a shuffle. It's very, very cool, but he is not supposed to be front and center. He is part of the pack. If anybody's front and center, it's Jimmy Page with the distortion pedal that he's using. That might be pushed up a little bit on the mastering and production deck, but John Bonham's not. This doesn't push Bonham forward because it's got some out of control or too much bass. The bass on this set is fucking perfect, and that was done well. John Bonham's playing in Fool in the Rain was fucking excellent, and When the Levee Breaks was excellent, but not done in the same way because they're not supposed to be. This is under great control. The Chain by Fleetwood Mac, 3-minute, 5-second timestamp. Dun 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 dun. And then the drummer's starting to get in the background. Every little micro detail is being picked up by this set. It sounds fucking excellent. Sweet Dreams by the Eurythmics. Excellent. again and again. There is nothing. The bass should do what it's supposed to do when it is supposed to. And if you're listening to music you're familiar with, you know when that is and when that isn't. This does that. And it doesn't seem to get into the way of the mid frequencies at any point later when I'm listening to them. So the bass is done well. It's done with authority when it's supposed to be done. I won't get into rap music too much. It does that in the way that you would imagine something that's got a dedicated sub driver does. Listening to Kill Jill by Big Boy, which should actually be near here. Okay, not near here in my collection. Right here. The drop, the 3 hits that are existing in there. Let's see if I got this anywhere for you guys. 33 seconds, 39, 43, about 70 hertz, then a drop, and then 60. Fucking does it like a boss, as you would expect. So the bass is done well. It's done good for hip-hop music. It's done good for rock and roll. It's done good for bass lines. And it doesn't get in the way in the vocals because I would be dinging the mids, and I'll get to that right now. So the bass is, I guess, what I was expecting it to be. So that's the bass. Okay, the mids. Dire Straits, Sultans of Swing. I'm listening to the guitar solo. I'm also listening to Mark's vocals. Fleetwood Mac, Going Your Own Way. I'm listening to 2 male and 2 female singers. They can be covered and veiled and hazed in a lot of different ways on a lot of different sets. So I'm listening to vocals on that. Doobie Brothers, Taken to the Street. Bassline vocalist. It's Mike McDonald. And then boom, they're laid on top of each other, and it can degrade extremely sometimes the quality of the vocals, and sometimes just a little bit, and on this set just a little bit. Black Sabbath, Sweet Leaf. It's kind of a resolution check because there's a lot of distortion in Black Sabbath. I'm also listening to Meatloaf, Paradise by the Dashboard Light. Male female vocals that are doing the whole, it's like a Broadway play for fuck's sake. Jim Croce, operator, guy on a stool with a guitar doing his thing. Also Aerosmith, No More No More, because I'm listening to Steven Tyler, who should be slightly back. I'm listening to piano. Piano is a great instrument because it covers the entire 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. If you can hear it, the piano should be there, or parts of it. Any notable dip will be reflected in how the piano is played back. Also, there's some significant cymbal strikes around 9 and 13 seconds. If I recall correctly, I got to write that down. Everything sounded fine on this. The resolution was great. Steven Tyler sounded like he's supposed to be, slightly back. That elevation in the early treble, late mids, doesn't seem to be putting Steven more forward like he can sometimes sound. It did that with Marvin Gaye for a reason that I don't know, and also did it with Steve Winwood, Blind Faith, but not with Steven Tyler or anything that occurred after that. The mid frequencies are actually quite good. So the resolution in Black Sabbath, which is right here, Sweet Leaf. There is a kind of a drum and a bass solo that kind of comes in at the 2-minute 30-second timestamp that can kind of sometimes sound lo-fi because the bass is kind of out of control and veiling everything that comes after that. And there's also 2 low-frequency instruments kind of dueling at the same time. This actually plays it back quite well. Not on the level of planar headphones or even something like the P1, which is a very affordable, cheap chi-fi thing, but that's what kind of planar does. It's a different design. It's being played back differently. For dynamic drivers with elevation in the bass already tuned in, this is actually playing back quite well. This is Sweet Leaf by Black Sabbath. The mid-frequencies sound actually really good. Paradise by the Dashboard Light, there's actually a lot going on that track as well. Before we go any further, will you love me forever, will you leave me? There's tons of things that are going on in the background. The 2 things can go on with the mid-frequency. One is they can be kind of a little bit scoop back. Forward is not that common, actually, like in the middle of the mids being forward, that like a W shape. That's kind of not very common. The bass veiling or hazing across the mids is something that kind of happens a lot. Actually, the 64 Audio Neo gets very close to being too warm and gives that kind of sense. This doesn't step wrong that way. Listening to the Neo more, it can be too warm sometimes. This doesn't suffer from that. Though it's got elevated bass, that's comparable to that. It's also kind of compensated for in the treble, so you're not getting... Just the quality of the mids in general are superior to the 64 Neo. This is a lot more expensive, but it's audibly a superior set than that, and to this listener and using my library. So the mids, the vocals, again, listening to Fleetwood Mac, Go Your Own Way, sounded great. The piano in Aerosmith sounded great. So mid frequencies actually sounded good. The part that I thought might be squished in, like on the LX, didn't actually happen with this. So they improved the quality of the mids and also the bass. Those things kind of go hand in hand, and they did it. So that's the mids. They're good. Okay, treble. Funeral for a Friend, Love Lies Bleeding by Elton John. It's it's listed as track 1. It's really kind of 2 totally different songs. The Funeral for a Friend starts out with, like, I guess they're trying to simulate a funeral, like an organ in a church, and then it just starts getting more bombastic, and then it goes into a total rockathon with Love Lies Bleeding. It's a fucking epic song. It's got a lot of stuff, including Elton John, that's up in the upper registers, and if the treble is being overemphasized, it can turn into a total fucking mess. Though this graph's like a set that has some emphasis in the treble, it doesn't play back that way to me. Again, the only time that I had an issue with what would be in that region was Marvin Gaye and Steve Winwood. And that could be down to those particular tracks, because it didn't show itself at other times. And on a track where I'm expecting it to happen, it actually didn't. This was a fantastic fucking replay. I'm just noticing Jamaica Jerkoff. Funeral for a Friend, Love Lies Bleeding. Why am I having trouble saying that? This actually sounds epic. Listening to Boston, Foreplay, another kind of double song. Foreplay, which is an instrumental like Funeral for a Friend, and then goes into a track, It's Been Such a Long Time. That sense of space that you've got because of the digital rain is fucking epic. Absolutely epic. This is really, really, really an excellent set. Aerosmith. Boston, please. Okay, here we go. I'll go with that one. Original mass recording. Foreplay, Long Time, track number 3. This is going to give me a sense of space. Tom Schultz, the guy, he's an engineer graduate from MIT, Mass Institute Technology. He made his own pedals and shit. That's why Boston has a unique sound, and some of that stuff that he's doing with the guitar and the stuff that he engineered gives this crazy sense of space that you can only simulate with like Chesky test stuff where the guy's going around banging a door. I'm on your left side, I'm going behind you. Like Boston, Foreplay, Long Time is something that gives you that way out in space type of thing, where when you listen to this on a set that's got a smaller stage, it sounds unnatural immediately to your brain. Your brain, like, this is an intimate replay of something that's supposed to sound like it's in a fucking stadium. You know it right away. And this plays it. This has a massive stage. Again, the graph. People might look at this and say, that's, this is lording over this. Or, no. This has a massive stage. It's fucking huge. Also, Lynyrd Skynyrd, another stage check. Lynyrd Skynyrd, One More From the Road. Where are you? Bingo. This is interesting because of the mic position. You've got Ronnie Van Zant that's on the mic, and that mic is picking up people on the left side saying Freebird, and then when they start getting into it, you can also on the right side, the clapping, and there's this positional. Ronnie Van Zant, people out on the front left, people out on the right, and it gives you a sense of space, and you're standing where Ronnie is pretty much in your head, and you can hear the stuff out to your left front, and you can hear the stuff out to your right front, and it gives you psychoacoustic illusion of being in space because the way that mic picked up everything. And it's pretty fucking cool to be in Ronnie's spot because you're listening to the crowd just like Ronnie was when that was recorded. This has great stage. Listening to OCD stuff, the Michael Jackson beep on the left side, between a minute 27 and a minute 31 second, left side only, it picked it up. Blister in the Sun by Violent Femmes, the finger snaps, very quiet in the whispering. When I'm a strutting, I strut my stuff, then I'm all strung out. I'm high as a kite and I just might to stop and check it out. Come on, come on. When oh, don't fucking freeze on me. Okay. Sorry, get up there. Come on. We made it. Violent Femmes, this one right here. Let me go on like a blister. And then it's on first track. There's that finger snapping. The quality, it sounds fucking epic. Freebird Crowd, I did that already. Pink Floyd on the run gate announcement, 26 seconds to 58. This woman's making an announcement to get your passport ready for a flight to Rome. And then it starts to another sonic event where the things are coming, I believe, from your back right, panning behind you, happens at the same time, and they overlap it. They don't finish her and start it, they overlap, and it degrades her to the point of being, you can't catch her anymore. This holds up as good as just about anything, actually. And there's a lot of mids right there, so it's actually doing a good job. And then the D finger slide on D by Randy Rhoads on, not Diary of a Madman. The fuck was the album before that? Fuck. Ozzy Osbourne. Not fuck Ozzy Osbourne, like in a bad way. Shit. Fucking Eagles. Okay, we'll just skip that. Fuck it. So those C details, the treble and everything's coming in fine. I'm not having any problems with that. I'll go ahead and finish this up and give you conclusions. Okay, conclusion. Before I get into that, one more song. Welcome to the Machine by Pink Floyd. That shoo, 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 that left-right stuff that's going on. Fucking wow. Very, very powerful. Do you have a lot of money? If you got a lot of money, this is a set that I'd rec. It costs $3,000. It's very expensive. It's very high quality build. It's very, very high quality in its execution. The technology is proprietary to Empire Ears. They spent time and money to come up with this stuff, and they did it in a very nice way. They've got a Founders Edition that's going to be sent, I believe, to 200 people, money payers, and all the people that are on this team are going to sign it, or they've already signed it. I've seen pictures of that. The aftercare for Empire Ears has always been top-notch. I've never heard anybody say I had a problem with Empire Ears and they didn't get back to me unless they were at a show like 3 years ago. And that's every small company. That's what you get. You get the care that is done with a small company, but if everybody's packing up and going to a can jam, you gotta chill out. You're part of a family now, and the family's busy like that, but that's in a good way. If you got a lot of money, this is a set that I would rec. It costs $3,000. It does bass as good as anything out there. It might, depending on what you listen to, sometimes put the vocalist a little bit on you, just a little bit. That is reflected in the graph, though it very rarely actually seems to happen. Jim Croce, operator, that didn't happen, though. That's just a guy on a stool with an acoustic guitar with his mouth very close to the mic, and when the vocals are forward, it should be that track that's doing it as well, but it didn't. So I got to think that the Marvin Gaye was me, and I had the volume up too much because I wanted to listen to the Roland 808, and Steve Winwood just, that's that track, and no other point. Very high quality build, excellent presentation. The care is like you expect from a small company, kind of like family, the whole way that they're doing it. So I wrecked the set. I think it's excellent. Do I think it's better than A or B or some other set? I'll have to do that another time. Absolutely fantastic. I just did the MST video and absolutely fell in love and put it over on my left side. People want to ask about that. I'll have to do a comparison another time. I devoted my ears to this set and to listen to it and to judge it with my library. I judged the bass to be exceptional. The mids were very good and were not impacted by the exceptional bass, which when there's two drivers down there could possibly happen. It did not. The treble was fantastic. Something like Elton John, Funeral for a Friend. Why can't I say that? Funeral for a Friend. That's 3 Fs. That's why I'm having problems with it. All that stuff going on, and it sounded fucking excellent. I listened to a lot of Elton John with this, actually. And stuff like Welcome to the Machine by Pink Floyd. Everything sounded great on this. The only ding on this is the price. Do you have the money? Can you pay to play?